I am Sue Webley. Welcome to another episode of Inspire. Listen, I don't care how tired I am. That little bop right there. It just gets me going. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Inspire. I'm so glad that you are coming on this early Saturday morning. For some of you, whether if you are on the West Coast or Midwest, it's very early. So thank you for joining me. And even if you're on the East Coast, listen, Saturday mornings, we want to sleep in late. So if you are here with me today, I know you love me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you're just coming on, you don't know who I am, you don't know what the show is about, I'm your host, Sue Webley. I'm an author, producer, minister, and entrepreneur, and I believe in the power of words, wisdom, and witness. And that's exactly what Inspire is all about. So every Saturday at 10 a.m., we host space for honest, soulful, and often transformative conversations with guests from all walks of life. You've been with me over the years, you know, we talk to everybody, okay? Everybody, all right? Entrepreneurs, artists, thought leaders, organizers, and everyday people who are living boldly and authentically. We explore topics that matter, from mental health, which is what we're talking about today, identity to faith, business, justice, creativity, and healing. So whether we are spotlighting an amazing community leader or celebrating personal triumphs, Inspire is rooted in the power of story And I believe that when we speak our truth, we light the way for others. We do light the way for others. So I want to invite you as you are coming on, first to share our conversation today. Also, I will want to invite you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and Inspire with Sue W. You can also head over to our website at www.getinspired.live. There you can watch all of our previous episodes, find out a little bit more about the show, and subscribe to our newsletter because we don't want you to miss anything that's happening with Inspire. All right. So, before I get into commentary and everything like that, y'all know what I'm getting ready to ask. What you sipping on this morning? What you got in your cup? What do you have? Let me see who's here with us. I see you. I see what you got in your cup this morning. Now I grabbed the wrong cup this morning, so I'm gonna have to big up StreamYard since we're on StreamYard today. Since we're using StreamYard, I guess it's not that bad. But I like my inspired cup. But I grabbed this one today. Yeah, I know I have coffee. I am trying a new creamer today, and so we'll see how that works. Okay, we'll see that works. But let me know where you're watching from and what you are sipping on, whether it's coffee like me, whether it's tea, water, a smoothie, orange juice, apple juice. Listen, if you got a little something strong in your cup, I'm not judging you this morning because sometimes it bees like that. All right, let me take a sip. The jury's still out on that creamer. the jury is still out on that creamer. But listen, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a partner that make sure I have creamer. Okay, all right. Let us move forward. I see you all on. Oh, let me say hi to Instagram. Hey, Instagram. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. So May is, amongst other things, and many awarenesses in May, but it is also Mental Health Awareness Month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and also as a neurospicy person myself, who's navigating being a full time student, navigating relationships, navigating being a host, navigating being an entrepreneur. It's something that is very near and dear to me, and I'm wearing my Brilliant Not Broken shirt today. Last May, I did a podcast series on the Confident Navigator called Brilliant Not Broken. It is specifically for neurospicy creatives, entrepreneurs, folk that feel a little different, and trying to navigate a world that really wasn't, that whose brains don't work the way the rest of the world would want them to work. And so, if you want to hear that series, I will drop that link into the chat a little bit later, but you can find it on the Confident Navigator. Just type in the Confident Navigator, Brilliant Not Broken. You'll see it on Spotify, on YouTube, and all over where you can find your favorite podcast, Apple, all of that. Okay, so it's a 5-part series, and I want you to check it out and let me know. Let me know what you think about it. But again, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and this year's theme, which I love, is More Good Days Together. More Good Days Together, and it's a reminder that mental health is not about or just about what's happening in here, right? What's happening in our heads? It's about what's happening in our communities, the communities we build. It's about what's happening in the stories we tell and the spaces where we are allowed to lay our burdens down. And for those of us who are neurodivergent, chronically overwhelmed, or carrying grief and trauma, More Good Days can feel like a hope, right? A radical hope and a real need. And so in the United States, nearly 1 in 5 adults experiences a mental health condition in a given year, but Black women carry a unique mix of risks and barriers. We are at least twice as likely as Black men to experience an episode of major depression, yet significantly less likely to seek or receive treatment. All right, can I say that again? We are twice as likely, Black women, right? Twice as likely as Black men to experience an episode of major depression, yet significantly less likely to seek or receive treatment. Studies show that also many Black women report symptoms of depression or anxiety only about 10 to 12%, will actually access mental health services compared to more than 20% of white women. On top of that, Black women are navigating racism, sexism, economic stress, and often the pressure to be the strong one, right? Which research links to higher anxiety and depression and less willingness to ask for help. And when we add in the realities of Black maternal mental health, where almost 40% of Black mothers experience maternal mental health conditions, nearly twice the rate of white women, and are still half as likely to receive care, the stakes become even clearer. So when we talk about more good days together, especially for Black women, we're talking about survival. We're talking about dignity and justice, and not just self care slogans, right? And so this is why I'm so excited about our conversation today. Reverend Tonya D. Jackson is the founder of A Time for You LLC, a virtual and in-person healing space rooted in compassion, justice, and care. She is a spiritual care practitioner, workshop facilitator, and healing centered leader whose work focuses on grief and loss, theological trauma and liberation, mental health advocacy in faith communities, and identity affirming spiritual care, especially for Black LGBTQIA and other marginalized folks. Through one on one spiritual support, grief circles, and creative healing experiences like her upcoming Sacred Pause that's coming up next week, gathering designed for the one who has been holding everything. Tanya creates room for people to exhale, to be honest, and to come back to themselves. And what I love about her work is that she doesn't rush people to perform healing. She offers a slow and gentle invitation to tell the truth, to grieve what's been lost, to question harmful theology, to listen to the body, and to remember that we do not have to carry everything alone. And you know what? Again, as a nervous spicy hostess, had to learn on my own limits, right, and my own boundaries the hard way. I'm deeply grateful for leaders who say you are allowed to put some things down. So whether you are exhausted, grieving, deconstructing, quietly anxious, or just tired of being the strong one, this conversation is for you. I want you to stay with us, and when we come back, we will be joined by the amazing Reverend Tonya D. Jackson, the founder of A Time for You LLC.
Someone asked me why I create. I create because silence once felt louder than God. Because betrayal taught my body what loneliness sounds like. Because there were seasons when if I didn't make something with my hands, this violent world would have swallowed me whole. I create because making kept me alive. Every stitch, every burn, every mark is a refusal to disappear. What I create is not product, it's permission. Permission to pause, to breathe, and to begin again. I create because healing is not abstract to me, it is necessary. Because wholeness is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. I am the healing red. I am A Time for You. I am Tonya D. Jackson. And I create because I care just as deeply about the total you as I do about the total.
Hey, Sissy.
Hey, good morning. You know you could go find some videos, can't
Listen, I will hunt. Okay, I will stop the social media pages to find a video, but I love that one because I love that you talked about why you create, and I love that you affirmed yourself and saying exactly who you are, right? And that really spoke to me, and so I said, yeah, that'll be a good video for our intro today, for our opening today. So. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. I see all of you who are coming in. Please do us a favor and share because this is about to be an amazing conversation. But before we get into all of that, Susie, what are you sipping on this morning?
I am sipping on some coffee that is not making me happy.
Is it
Um,
the hotel coffee?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Starbucks. You know, I'm not a Starbucks girl, but yeah, that's what I'm sipping on. But it's doing the job and waking me up, so we
Okay,
gonna work with it.
okay. That is good. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Shout out to La Mesa, who is having the inaugural graduation commencement today, later on today. And so you are joining us from ATL. and get ready to go and hang out there afterwards. So thank you for taking the time to be with us. So again, I've talked about May being Mental Health Awareness Month, so I want to start by grounding us in what more good days means, right? What does more good days mean in your world when you hear that phrase in the context of your life and your work? What does a good
So,
day look like for the people you serve?
I let can if you give me permission, can I start here just with all of the conversation
Oh yeah,
and
go ahead.
discourse that's going on
Hmm.
with people, credentials, therapy, who's qualified to hold space and who's not qualified to hold space? I want to give this disclaimer, right? Right up top. I am not a therapist. I am not a clinician. I do not diagnose, treat, or provide mental health therapy with all of the stuff going on with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, I think it's important now for us to upfront say that because listen, I guess only people with a doctor in front of their name or LCSW behind it or MSW get to hold space. And so I just want to be clear of who I am and who I am not. I am not a clinician. Okay. I am not a therapist. I just hold space. So, what does more good days together mean for me and the work that I do? So, more good days together means sitting in a space where it's okay for when I say, "How are you doing today?" for you to say, "I'm not okay.
Mhm,
The load is heavy." It's okay for you to say, "Okay," if that's your truth in that moment. It's okay. More good days together means that we get to walk side by side in our fullness, in everything that we are, in everything that God or whoever it is that you believe is responsible for having you on this earth breathing has placed you here because you are good, because I am good, because even when we lay on the floor and cry together, even when we have those days where we can't seem to get on the same page and we might be a little salty with each other, that
mhm.
I'm still here for your good day. I'm still here, and I still believe that you are here for mine.
Mhm.
More good days means holding each other tenderly.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Holding each other tenderly, and it really speaks to the fact that it takes community, right? So many of us are navigating things all by ourselves, but it's I help you, you help me. We hold space for each other. It takes community, it takes relationship for all of us to have good days together. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I do want to get into a time for you, LLC. And, that name itself is really such a tender, intentional name, right? What would you say was happening in your own life or your ministry or your spirit when you realized that people needed exactly that, a time and a space that was just for them?
So, a time for you, for me, was born out of the recognition that I was an imperfectly broken person. Um, I was born into brokenness. I lived a life of brokenness, and then the family that I created, intentionally created, was falling apart. And it was the most devastating period of my life.
Mm,
But even in all of that, I was still caring for the kids. I was still making sure that all of the pieces that needed to fit together. I was not telling a story. I was being villainized in a story that didn't belong to me because I chose to leave, right? And I was literally holding my breath to the point that life was threatening to take me out physically, It was threatening to take me out emotionally. It was just threatening to wipe me out of this place, right?
Mm,
And in that, some small space of time allowed me to breathe a little.
mm,
And when I took that small breath, because it wasn't a complete breath, right? It was just, I'm still holding most of it. But if I don't let a little bit of air in, I'm going to die in this space. And I realized that when I took that small breath, it was kind of cleansing, right? And I made an instant decision. This is my time. I'm about to hit the second century of my life. I'm not
mm,
going through no more of what happened to me, what could have happened, what should have happened. I'm not over functioning for nobody. I'm no longer going to people please. I'm no longer going to do all of these things. What is it, Tanya, now that you need for you?
mm,
And that's where the name A Time for You comes from. It comes from my own story of surviving trauma, loss, harm, grief, deep spiritual and emotional wounds. But it
mm,
also comes from my belief that healing is possible when people are given the right kind of space to heal in, not a space that demands performance, not a space that rushes them, not a space that shames their grief, but a space that allows them to pause, to breathe, to feel, and to tell the truth without fear of judgment
mm.
or retaliation. It was a space to come home just to yourself because we neglect ourselves so much. And if I can call you back
Yes.
just for moments to only you, then that's what a time for you is.
Ooh, Jesus. Thank you for sharing. And it's so necessary. It is so necessary. So thank you for saying yes to that call. Right.
Amen.
And for walking with so many others who are experiencing some of the things that you have gone through. Your work is definitely trauma informed, right? It's trauma informed, it's faith rooted, and it's culturally responsive. And so, for someone who may not know what that looks like in practice, can you paint a picture for us when someone steps into a space with you, whether it's whether it's on Zoom or whether it's in person? What do you want their body and their spirit to feel?
So for me, like time with me usually looks like well, first we're gonna breathe. Especially in this political time, especially in the bodies that we live in and all of the intersectionalities of our lives, we hold our breath and our systems are out of whack. So we take that first few minutes to just arrive into our bodies, uh, time to let go of whatever may have been going on moments before you walked in, and truly will still be going on after you leave. Time we start with permission to just be in this space at this time, grounded in just the possibilities of who I am and understand naming who I am. Some of us can't even name who we are.
Yeah.
Like at one point in time, you would have asked me who I was. I'd have been like, "Oh, I'm Kendrick's mommy, and I'm Scott," because that's who I was. That's
Mm,
but who am I? Like when I sit down and I look in the mirror, and then we move to not how are you, because how are you in this moment is really irrelevant if you can't tell me what happened to you. And so, and it places the thing outside of you because how are you places it on you.
mm,
And what happened to you places it outside of you. Something came and happened to you. So, what was that thing that caused you to stop? What was that thing that caused you to stop breathing, stop moving, stop being, and stop believing that you were a worthy creation in the world, that you were a necessary part of the community. I, I think my focus is to get to the understanding, that true understanding of Sawubona. I do see you, not how you show up physically. I see you, every part of you. I see your tears. I see your laughter. I see your struggle. I see your pain. And I see how you are progressing and surviving and striving through it all. I see what you can't say. That's the connection I want to have, or I aim to have, when I'm dealing with my clients, when I'm dealing with my family, when I'm dealing with my friends, when I'm just dealing with the world. I want to be able to see you and not the performative you.
That's so good. That's so good. Listen, if you just joined us, we are in conversation with Reverend Tonya D. Jackson. She is the founder of A Time for You LLC, and yeah, I invite you to share this conversation with your friends and family. Tell them to come on over and join us in our conversation today. So, thank you for sharing all of that, Reverend Tanya. Many of us, especially in Black families, right, in faith communities, we were taught to be strong, right? Especially as Black women, we were taught to be strong, but not necessarily to be well, right? And so, so what are some of the messages that you hear over and over again, um, about strength, about grief, about mental health, or asking for help that you find yourself gently challenging in your
You know, it's so funny. I ran downstairs to get coffee. I didn't have much time, and my phone rang, and someone was calling me to tell me about a book that they were reading, and someone very, very close to me. And they said, I'm not going to take up all of your time because I know that you have something to do. But I was reading this book, and you could skip ahead. And I got to a chapter, and it talked about over functioning.
Mm,
Um, and this person, like, truly, truly, truly does overfunction. And so that's a repetitive message that I hear. It may not be, they may not have the language to use the words. Like this person, I've been talking to them about years, for years,
mhm,
about you don't have to do that. Your children can do that for themselves. You don't have to, all your daughter has a license, it's her car, but you won't let her drive. Hello? So now you're her chauffeur in her car that you won't let her drive, and she has a license, and you
mhm,
feel overwhelmed. um you 60 something years old, and you still doing laundry for the 8 people in the house. Like, hello, that's a choice that you are making.
mhm,
And one of the things I just said to her is, sometimes even with our children, you just got to stand to the side and let them shatter, because shattering is going to teach them the lesson that they need. But be
mhm,
there and willing to help them to put the pieces back together. But if you
mhm,
never let me break, how do I know how to pick my pieces up?
mhm,
And so the over functioning, oh, it's been 2 years since your partner died, you should be over it by now, you should be ready to date again, you should be. But no understanding around the fact that I'm still grieving these losses. You know, all of the familiar places are still there. I haven't worked that process. And even if you have gone through that process, the way you go through it looks different than the way I go through it, because whatever the case may be, because you were performing love and I was actually in love. Whatever the differences are, it really doesn't matter, but pushing people to move beyond the space that they are in that moment, just
mhm,
because you feel it has taken too long. And what I found is, until people go through similar situations, they have no tolerance
mhm,
for the one that you are in.
mhm,
And the push forward is more about them not having to experience, look at, participate in someone else's process
Yeah.
that they feel is too hard and not serving them. The other thing is all of these spiritual messages, like the hardest one that I have encountered over and over and over again are the theological ones. The ones where prayer over medication, um suffering, that suffering is necessary. I don't believe suffering is necessary.
Me
I,
either.
I don't believe that God put me here to go through anything so that I can help someone else. That is a lie. That is a false statement. I reject it with everything in me,
Mhm.
right? Or the just pray about it and God is gonna make it all right. Well, I've been praying for 42 years and I'm still hitting the same brick wall
Yeah.
while I'm watching other people progress and move past and give testimony. So, what is the messaging to me from God?
Mm,
Does God
mhm,
not choose me?
mm, mhm.
What have I done that was so wrong that God hates me so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
that here we are at 52.2 years and I'm still praying about this? Oh, it's my faith. My faith isn't strong enough. Well, what do I do about that? Because nobody has given me the roadmap. Meanwhile, I need some Lexapro for my anxiety. I need medication. I need somebody who can really hear me in these moments and really help me develop a plan, and not make all of these spiritual judgments, because me and God ain't good right now, because I just this wall just won't move. And I've had the faith of a mustard seed. I'll have the faith of an army if you want me to, if it's gonna move me past this situation. So those
Right.
are the repetitive things that I seem to encounter a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I was just listening to you and thinking about how the spiritual bypassing, right?
Yes.
You got to find the scripture, you got to pray more. You said something about not having enough faith. Even talking about does God hate me, right? Why does God have to break me?
Mm-hmm.
Coming through the fire and coming out like why? Why do I have to do why?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If on one hand, God is loving, and I'm a good creation and all of that. Now, why do I have to kind of be filthy rags? Like why do I have to do all of that and be that in order to have a relationship with God? And that takes for many people, and it took for me too, the major deconstruction.
Oh yeah.
Some major deconstruction. And freedom is not or liberation is not an easy thing.
Mm-mm.
Right? It hurts because this is what you've been taught. This is what you read in the Bible. This is how your grandmama and all of them, that's how they came up and that's how they made it through. But no, we carry some of these erroneous theological understandings, right, of God. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up, and that leads into kind of talking about theological trauma, right?
Mm.
Um, what are some signs that someone's spiritual life has been shaped? Because you alluded to it a little bit just now, has been shaped more by fear and harm than by love and freedom.
Theological trauma. Ha, 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 ha. Ooh, theological trauma is it's a thing. It like really is a thing. And so many people I find have been wounded um because of by a theology that was supposed to heal them and was supposed to comfort them and was supposed to offer them a space of refuge. The hospital, as my grandmother said, the church was the hospital. So that meant I got injured out there in the world. And I was supposed to come into the church to be triaged, right? Come into God to be triaged, to be healed, to be taken care of. And what I found is that it was better for me to get my triage out there where I got hurt at. For some people, the church was a place where they first learned that parts of them was not acceptable. Their identity was attacked. Their questions were called rebellion. Their identity was called sin. Their depression was called lack of faith. Their grief
or
was
spirit, or
rushed.
spirit.
Yeah, or a spirit. Their grief was rushed. Their abuse was covered. You know, the deacon had me in the fellowship hall right there in the corner, and the pastor knew about it, but or don't wear that because you going to cause the man to sin. Oh, I called. Okay. All right. So their abuse was covered. Their exhaustion was praised. Keep pouring, keep pouring, keep doing, keep serving. Like no one ever told me that what was in the cup was mine. And I didn't have to share it.
Yeah.
It was what flowed out of the cup that was for other people. What they told me is that I had to keep going until I damn near passed out, you know, and so that exhaustion being praised when trauma and harm is wrapped in God language, it can be deeply confusing and deeply damaging for the person who is experiencing. So part of my work is helping people separate God from the harm done in God's name, from the humanity that decided to hand me a black God versus a yellow sunny God, right? That is sacred work. That allows people to ask, what did I really inherit? And what harmed me? What harmed? What happened to me? What harmed me? Can I name it? What do I still believe? From a theological perspective, when I was a kid, I used to believe that God sat like in the highest cloud in the sky. This was the imagery in my head, that God sat, but I'm also neurospicy, so take it with a grain of salt. But God was this little man that sat in the highest cloud in the sky and was like just peeking over and waiting for me to just take a breath. Because if I took a breath, I sinned. And now I must be punished. And so like that's the God I grew up on. So now as I deconstruct, what do I need to release from that? Because we don't need to get rid of all of it, right? But there are some very harmful things that was built into our identity that no longer served us. Didn't serve us then, but as we're beginning to get language for it, we know that it no longer serves us. So how do I sort through what I need to release in these moments? What kind of faith, spirituality, care can help me live? And I don't mean just breathing, human, walking, doing. I mean, honestly, live and thrive and believe. Healing from a theological trauma does not always mean returning to the same spaces that wounded us.
Yes.
Sometimes it means reclaiming your voice. I am big on reclaiming your voice because I spent so much time silencing mine. Reclaiming your body as your own, your dignity as your own, your questions, and your right to encounter the divine without fear.
Well, you know, I just gotta. Where's my offering plate? Go ahead and put your sketch. Because baby, this is some good stuff. Woo, thank you for naming all of that. Y'all who are watching right now, please, Dave, Minister Dave, told you, I see your comment, and we're about to talk about that. Um, please, please, please put your comments and your questions inside of the chat, so that we can be sure that Reverend Tanya has the opportunity to respond to them before we end our time together today. So Dave totally talks about even the music. Now, personally, there's some songs that I
Oh.
will not sing. I will never. I listen. There's some songs I will not sing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I talked about being filthy rags, right? Right. But you talked even so, even the songs, the spiritual songs, the gospel songs, the hymns, even those have to be deconstructed, right? Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch. I am
Yeah,
not a
you
wretch.
little
Am I
dirty
not
wretch.
fearfully and wonderfully made? So which one is it? Am I a wretch or fearfully? Right? Which one is it? Um, and yeah, refuse to sing them. And so that's not taking away that some of those songs, some of those hymns help our people get over, right? It gave them a type of hope that, the hope of heaven. Some people get so stuck in the hope of heaven that they're no earthly good. But some of those songs help our folk get over. But as we are deconstructing the theology, deconstructing some of the things that the rites and the rituals that take place in some of these churches that are very harmful, deconstructing our embedded theology. Yeah, we got to do it across the board. We got to do it across the board because so many of us are just walking wounded,
Mm-hmm.
right? We also
And
mentioned,
using
but
songs that further wound us to say that this is my war song. This is my get over song. This is how, I have experiences all the time with songs where I'm just like, wait, did they just now before I used to happily sing them like, come on.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
then I'm like, huh? That doesn't make any damn
yeah,
sense. What the
right, right.
and so yeah, Dave, you're absolutely right with these songs. But also the other thing that I've had conversations with people about is what part of the Bible are you reaching from?
Mhm.
Because or are you looking at it as the inerrant word of God? Or is it a piece of literature that guides your life? Like how are you really taking this thing? Because if you go to certain sections, we still should be slaves.
Right.
you
Absolutely.
know, and even the homosexuality, like who was King James? That was a girl.
Can we pause right there? Because listen, the King James Bible. I mean, some of the say they will not. They hold
Won't
the
release it.
King James Bible up. It's like idolatry. They every other type of Bible, every other translation is blasphemy, right? And they're the
Mm.
main ones that speak out, right? So the main ones that speak out against homosexuality, what, and all of those
Mhm.
things. But this Bible that you hold so close in there to your heart, that you say is the inerrant word of God, right? Who was King James?
Right.
They
And
they
like
don't
I
they
said, and
don't
that
do that research.
is written by divinely inspired men of God. Well, guess what? They were men of God. They were humans. And as they received the message, they had to process it through their bodies that had mental health challenges, through their bodies that had all of these other things, capitalism and colonialism and all of these things living in it. So the processing was for what they needed. So okay, I'm not gonna go there. I'm done. I'm done with that piece.
Listen, because I mean, I'm gonna try to get away from that because that thing, it just grinds my gears, right? It's just gets on my nerves because this inerrancy, and we could have a whole other show about you know uh, uh about the literalists, those who take the Bible
Mm-hmm.
literally, and refuse to see the inerrancy. You know what I'm saying? Like refuse to see the errors that that are not suspicious of the text, right? Um, yeah, I can't. This group over here decided they wanted to put these few books in there, and then a couple centuries later, another group got together. So are all of them inspired?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, girl. They inspired. They real inspired.
on the, right. On the all inspired, so yeah, we could do a whole other show on that. I see y'all, I see y'all commenting. Yeah, we could do a whole other show about that. So we are going to take a really quick break. We're going to take a quick break for Reverend Tanya to take a sip of that coffee she don't really like that much, but it's helping her right now. And then we'll get back to some more amazing conversation with Reverend Tanya D. Jackson. Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us today. I want to invite you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. We are at Inspired with Sue W on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on TikTok. Please do us a great big favor and give us a follow if you are not following us already. Also, you can head over to our website at www.getinspired.live. You can find out all about the show, watch all of our previous episodes, and subscribe to our newsletter because we don't want you to miss anything that's happening with Inspire. Are you or someone you know on a mission to create change while inspiring others to do the same? Well, we want to hear from you. I want to sit across from you in this virtual space on a future episode of Inspire. Visit us at www.getinspired.live to book your appearance today. You can head over to our website, click on Be Our Guest, fill out that guest intake, and a member of our team will get back in touch with you. I can't wait to welcome you to a future episode of Inspire. Camera Solutions, helping you navigate the digital space with confidence. If you know me long enough, you know this is my baby. This is the one that started it all. Kara did turn 6 this year. We're so grateful for your support, and so many of you have told others about us, and we've been able to partner with so many wonderful organizations, individuals, and ministries just by word of mouth. So thank you again. Kara Solutions is a full-service digital agency specializing in helping our clients achieve their goals through consultation and training, content and social media management, graphic and web design, and live stream and podcast production. If you want to learn more, we invite you to schedule a consultation today by visiting our website at www.kara-solutions.com or email us at info@kara-solutions.com. So as always, you know that we are going to do this each and every Saturday. Our sibling and community needs a kidney donor, and I believe that we can do it. Yanni is in search of potential donors who are fairly healthy, have the blood types A or O, the courage to commit to surgery and save her life, and she would love to share the safety measures with you. Alternatively, if you know of a resource, if you know of an organization, somewhere that Yanni could get connected to help make this happen for her, please send that information to us and we'll be sure to get it to her. To contact Yanni and her family directly, you can do so at peacepeopleinc@gmail.com. That's peacepeopleinc@gmail.com. And you can head over to EmeryLivingDonor.org, fill out the survey, and enter her name, Ayana Davis. I believe that we can do this together. All right, it's time to get back to some wonderful conversation with today's guest. Welcome back, Tanya. I'm just looking at this. I'm like, geez, man, like we need like 2 hours for us to be in conversation with each other because it's just I haven't even scratched the surface of all the things that I want that I wanted to ask you. But yeah, it's been so rich. We listen. If you have a question, put it now. Put it now. Throw it in the chat right this minute if you have a question for Reverend Tanya, because we're about to end in 8 minutes. But this is a question. You've been talking about other people, right? Yes, part 2. Mm-hmm. Talking about other people, the work that you do for others, how you hold space for other people, how you give other people permission to pause, right? And permission to find time for themselves. And so this question is for you, right? what have you been pushing through that you should have stopped 2 years ago?
I will say in my current state, I am very, very intentional about my push throughs, right? I'm very intentional about listening to my body, and I am very intentional about my no being a no. So, you sent me an inbox last night, about the neurodivergent person, right? And that's still living in my head, so that's why I'm laughing. Um, so I am very intentional about my nose now. However, I can tell you it was a bloodbath to
Mm,
get here. Um, the things that I did push through, like I said up front, damn near killed me. And I had to decide, did I want to live? And because I had this kid that needed me to breathe, I needed to commit to breathing for him and for her.
mhm,
And as I approached 50, there was no way in hell that I was going to let the second half of my life look like the first half, because when I was growing up, therapy was not a thing. You know, if I were to tell my birth story, I should have been in therapy since I took my first cry.
mhm,
Um, and it wasn't until I hit so many walls as an adult that I said, damn it, I got to go talk to somebody. I got to do something. I got to give this thing a try. Otherwise, life is not going to be good to me. I pushed through usury situations, a lot of usury
mhm,
situations, because I was stuck at needing, wanting a family that looked like a family. My father died before I was born. I was not raised with my siblings. My grandparents raised me. I left home at 15, and I've been out here fighting this great big world ever since. You know, so I needed somebody to tell me something to do that was going to help me to survive. And so the push through theology, I don't subscribe to anymore. And I don't care whose feelings it hurt. I don't care how you feel about it. I am the person that you will send a text and you may not hear from me for 8 weeks. I am the person that will drop you in the middle of a conversation because I decided that I needed something different in that moment. I'm not being rude. I'm just making choices like everybody else in the world. Only
mhm,
this time, I'm choosing me first and what I need in that moment. It's so funny. Bishop and I get ready to go, and there's a checklist. Are you sure you have something to create with? Are you
yeah,
sure you have this? Are you sure you have that? Because you know me, Pastor. So I
mhm,
walk away in the middle of a conversation. You can be in the middle of a sentence, but if it becomes overwhelming for me, I need to go take care of myself so that I can return to you in the right.
mhm.
And I will announce I am disengaging now as I walk away.
I've seen it happen on my with my own 2 eyes.
So I a lot of intentionality around how I'm treating myself to make sure that the same things that I am saying to someone else, that I'm not silencing my voice, and that I am caring for myself while I care for you. And I am going to hold every damn drop that I have in my cup,
Mhm.
and you can have the next spillage.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. You have a beautiful event coming up called Sacred Pause. And this is for the one who has been holding everything, right? So can you it includes like mirror meditation, silent dance party, I see all of those things. Can you tell us a little bit about it? First of all, I know that you've added a few more spaces. I don't know if it's been sold out fully. I know the original space was sold out, which means
So
there needs to be a part two. So tell us about tell us about this event that you have coming up next
so as of this moment, I have 4 spaces available. I'm intentional about keeping it intimate. So I once these four spaces are gone, I will not open it up again. But what this event is a day, a couple of hours to date yourself.
Mm.
So that's the intentionality behind it. So I'm offering a experience that does not, because we've been to all of these mental health conferences where they're
Mhm.
talking heads and everybody is telling you what mental health is, and you have a workshop over here and a workshop over there, and at the end of all of those workshops they give you a list of solutions. Breathe, take a walk, hug a
Right.
tree, whatever those solutions are. And we feel so great about it after we leave. Oh, that presenter was excellent. And we walk out of the workshop and we live not one piece of it.
Mhm.
We know it. So it's my belief that we all know what the solutions are. I'm offering a time span where you actually live them
Yeah.
with yourself. So I'm offering dinner, and we're going to have dinner at the event. Everything that is happening at the event was created by my hands. So when the mirror experiences, I can't tell you too much because I want it to be a surprise, but it is an interactive experience, and you are interacting with yourself,
Mm.
not with anybody else in the room. The silent dance list, I curated the songs that I wanted, that I felt were necessary during that time. And I have 3 playlists that are going to happen. You choose which playlist you want, because sometimes Nuck If You Buck is how I relax, right? So,
Yes.
and sometimes it's praise is what I
Oh,
do,
no, not the
so I tried to offer an experience for all that range of people,
Yeah.
from praise is what I do to Nuck If You Buck, you
Yeah.
know. And then I have taken the opportunity to actually build a game.
Mm. Mhm.
And during this event, we are going to come together and we are going to play this game. It's called, and if it, I don't know, people who are connected to me may have seen my story on yesterday, but the game is debuted on there. And we are going to play this game, and it's called Journey to Restoration.
Mhm.
And the concept, the overall concept of the game is we travel this world, and we have some setbacks, we make some progress, and at every point there's a threshold where we need to make a decision. Are we ready to go deeper? Are we ready to move toward restoration? Or have we collected things that are necessary? And
Mhm.
if we did, we go into the deeper level, and at some point we reach restoration, right? But with this game, restoration is not the first person to reach it.
Yeah.
And how, so the first person to reach it in my game becomes a guide for the people who are still traveling through. And nobody fully reaches restoration until we all reach it. So when every player in the game has reached restoration, that's when the game ends and we
Mhm.
travel together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell the people where to reach you, where to find you on social media.
You can find me on all of my social medias as A Time for You. I'm on Instagram as The Healing Rev. Um, but on Facebook as Tonya D Jackson, and everything as A Time for You.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend Tanya, for hanging out with me today. Thank you for sharing your presence and your gifts today. I'm especially grateful for the way that you bless people with permission, right? Permission to feel, permission to question, permission to grieve, uh, permission to be seen, and permission to rest. You do all of that as you hold space for folk. And so, those of you who are watching, those of you who catch this in replay, those of you who would listen to this on audio, if this conversation touched any tender place in you, if you're grieving or exhausted or deconstructing or simply tired, right, of being the strong one, I want you to know that you are not alone. You don't have to carry it all by yourself. I want to encourage you to reach out to someone that you trust. Look for a therapist, a spiritual care practitioner,
Mhm.
a support group, a community like A Time for You. Let's see, where you can lay some of those burdens down. some of those burdens down. Here at Inspire, we are committed to lifting up these stories and lifting up these individuals that are doing some very necessary work, the work of healing. And as we close, I want to know, is there one final thing that you want the people to know as we get ready to leave to get up out of here? What is a word of encouragement or a final word of wisdom that you can offer?
I think the thing that I would like to say is just simply stop.
Mm.
Full stop, fulfill in that stop, full rocking yourself and caring for yourself and listening to what is it that you need in order to keep going on. But full stop.
Full stop. You heard it from the Healing Rev. I am Sue Webley. This has been Inspire. And as always, until we meet again, I want you to stay lifted. I want you to stay motivated. Most of all, I want you to stay inspired. I will see you again next week. Goodbye, y'all. Goodbye, Reverend Tanya. Thank you so much again for joining me today.